I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Every month on my channel, I do a series of videos on the best games coming to retail. The first of those videos is just the best new games. They have nothing connected with anything else. They're just new games coming out. Then I do the best expansions. This video that you have found your way to is the best new editions of games coming to retail. So new editions are updates of old games, re-implementations of old games, and new games in an established line, an established series of games. So this month I've got 18 new editions coming out for you, and you know, I have had people in the past say things like, well, if it's getting a new edition, that means it's probably a good game, right? You don't make new editions of games that fail, of games that nobody liked. And so, hey, that's a pretty good philosophy. So these are games that have existed out there, but now there are new versions for you to check out if you want to. All right, let's get into the games. Thanks for being here, everybody. 25th Century Games is releasing a number of new editions this month. The first of which I'll talk about is La Habana. This plays 2 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes, and it's a medium weight game, but on the lower end of medium weight strategy game. This is a re-implementation of a game that came out in 2009. Well, I guess it's not really a re-implementation. It's a new edition. It is an updated version of a game that originally came out in 2009, and now 25th Century is putting out a new edition of the game. 25th Century always does a really good job with their component quality, production quality, so from that perspective, I know that this one will be a very good reprinting. In the game, in La Habana, you have a set of 13 cards, and everybody has the same 13 cards, and you're going to be playing out 2 of them, and in subsequent turns, one of those 2 will stay, and you'll put out one of them from your hand. And each of the cards have a number on them, and you're going to make a number with the 2 numbers. So if you play a 2 and a 5, boom, you've got a 25. If you play a 5 and a 7, boom, you've got a 57. And whoever plays lower gets to have initiative. They get to go first. And there are a number of cards out in the market, and you are trying to build the cards. You need, various resources and other things in order to build the cards, and you're trying to and then the initiative will change every round. The start player will change every round based on which card you get rid of, which card you play down, so it plays pretty quickly, and it's largely card based, but has some interesting strategy, and I like the way that initiative changes in the game. So and various cards will get you different actions as well. So that's a new edition of La Habana. 25th Century Games is also releasing the game Raw and Right. This is a flip and right version of the great game Raw. Plays 2 to 5 players in about 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is probably even lighter weight than the actual, Raw game. And I have said on my channel many times before that I love Raw. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's just a really fun auction, bidding, set collection game. And Raw and Right captures a lot of what the original game Raw has. There are, in the original game Raw, there are different types of tiles, and those tiles will score you points in various ways, get you abilities in different ways. And here, all of the tiles are replaced by cards. You'll have a deck of cards, and you're going to flip out a few cards. The active player is going to take one of those cards, and only they get it, and then everybody else gets to pick from the cards left. Everybody else can pick the same cards, but only from the things left. And then you're going to be marking stuff in various regions on your sheet. And those regions are reminiscent of the types of tiles in the base game Raw. You have different things that score different points in different ways, just like they do in the base game. One of the things that I like is they did still capture the push your luck element of Raw, which is one of the things I like the most. The game is played over 3 different eras, kingdoms, if you will, is what they call them in the game. And there are Raw cards shuffled into the deck. And when 3 Ra cards come up, the kingdom ends immediately and you all score for what you have at that point. So you never know when it's going to end because it depends on when a Ra card comes out of the deck. So if you want a faster, smaller, flip and write version of Ra, then check out Ra and Write. 25th Century Games is also releasing Ratzia, a new edition of Ratzia. Ratzia originally came out in 2004, but this is a new edition of the game. Plays 2 to 5 players in 45 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game. Ratzia is basically the same exact game as Ra, but replacing all of the tokens, the tiles with cards, and giving it a new theme. So now the theme is you are these mice, these rat mafiosos, and you're trying to stay one step ahead of the police, and the police are trying to break up your party, and you're, as mafia rats, you're bidding on the best loot, the best goods. And it really is the same thing where you have your own cards and those cards are your bids, and you can put bids out on cards that have come out on the row and, take those cards, and those cards will get you set collection and different points in various ways. And so, it does take the game of Ra and make it into a smaller box. So, if you want a more portable version of the game Ra, then Ratzia is a good way to do that. And, definitely a more sort of silly theme here with mafia rats instead of the sun god, but definitely sillier. Asmati Games is releasing Good Puppers Too. This plays 1 to 5 players in 15 to 40 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game, small box game. So if you want a portable game, this is even more portable than something like Ratzia. The box is about that big. I actually made a video for the campaign of Good Puppers 2, and it was a game that really surprised me. It was a game that I liked, and it was way more clever than I expected it to be. I should note that this is sort of a new edition, a new version of the game Good Puppers. It is a standalone game, but it can be combined with the content from Good Puppers as well. If you want to play like a mega 7-player game, you can do that with the 2 boxes. So yeah, it's kind of a sequel, but it's the same mechanisms as the original game, but now it has 100 different unique cards separate from the original that are representing various different dog breeds. And in the game, you'll be playing cards down into your own yard, and those cards will give you special abilities, and those special abilities will allow you to bury other cards as bones. It'll allow you to upgrade bones, so bones are worth more points at the end of the game. There's a bit of a set collection element with which puppers you are playing into your play area. It's a clever little card game for sure, and I love dogs, and so it's full of fun dog art and good dog breeds, and that's a selling point for me, at least, for sure. Asmodee is releasing Hibachi Fired Up. This is a new edition of the game Hibachi, which itself was a new edition of the game Safranito. Plays 2 to 4 players in 25 minutes, and it is a lighter weight game, but on the upper end of lighter weight game. There is a dexterity element to the game Hibachi. You will literally be throwing poker chips onto the board, and the board has regions and action spaces on it. The regions will allow you to get cards that are those ingredients and you're trying to fulfill recipes. The action spots will allow you to get more order cards or get various benefits. And so you are literally standing off of the table and throwing your poker chips and trying to land them on a spot on the board that you want. And then other people throw and can knock your poker chips around, and things will be kind of flying and knocking and stuff. Your poker chips have various numbers on them, so you want to get your high value ones where you particularly want something. Your low value ones you might want to be near someone else that has a high value one there, because then you can sell your poker chip for money based on the value of all of the poker chips there. Ha ha ha, you put down a 700, I put down a 100, I can sell my 100 for 800 bucks. That's a nice upgrade for that. And so this is a, this new version here, it just features faster and more streamlined rules. So same game, but allows you to get into the action more. And, I do think that this is a game with a dexterity element that maybe has more strategy than most dexterity games. A lot of dexterity games are kind of just like, stack it up, and if it falls, you lose. This one is like, oh, there's reasons you might go to places. There's strategy on what cards you want, how you're upgrading stuff. So, yeah, if you like the sound of throwing poker chips, then check out Hibachi Fired Up. Asmodee is also releasing Splendor Kids. This is a family weight, a kids version of the very well-known game Splendor, the sort of classic gateway game at this point. Splendor Kids plays 2 to 4 players in 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. They do say it plays ages 6 and up, so if you are interested in a game that plays, young children, this is like a good first game for young kids. Splendor is obviously a great game about, some engine building. You're getting cards, you're getting gems, and then you're using those to build up to buy better and better cards. And this keeps the chips in the game, but has a board where you're moving across. So the way that this one is different than regular Splendors, on your turn, you can either collect chips or you can move forward on the paths. And the paths have various resource requirements, To move past this checkpoint on the path, you need a blue, a green, and 2 reds, that sort of thing. And so it really helps teach kids about counting and about resource management. And so when you take chips, when you collect chips, you can either take 3 chips of different colors, you can take 2 chips of the same color, or you can take a joker. And so that helps, teach them about resource management too. But, then it's about moving forward on the path, and you're trying to be the first player to reach the Palace of Splendor up at the top. So, yeah, it's nice. I like that they're making, kids versions of popular games, so that if you have a new gamer in your family, you can sort of bring them into your hobby. It's a great way to do it. Asmodee is also releasing Unlock Enchanted Adventures. This is a new game in the Unlock series of games, the Unlock line of games. The Unlock games are puzzle-solving, sort of escape room style games with a bit of a narrative to them. You are trying to figure out the solution to various puzzles to move the story forward and figure out the mystery. Every game of Unlock involves a mystery. And most of the Unlock boxes, there's also these small Unlock boxes, but the main Unlock boxes, the bigger boxes, always come with 3 cases in them. So this Enchanted Adventures plays 1 to 6 players in about 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. And the 3 scenarios, the 3 adventures in this one are: 1 where you must find a way to appease the fire god before a volcanic eruption destroys the island paradise. The second one is you're trying to secure the prize of all prizes in Chaos at the Fair. And in The Curse of Camelot, you embark on an epic quest to restore the glory of the kingdoms of Pendragon. So if you've been looking for an escape room style game, a mystery puzzle solving game, Unlock is a great series, and there's a lot of versions of Unlock. They have released, double-digit boxes for this for sure, and so Here's a new one. And, you know, the nice thing about unlocks too is you can jump into any one. Basically pick the theme that you want and go, oh, those sound like interesting cases. I like that theme, and play that box. There's no need to play all of them or jump in at a particular point. And the boxes also do oftentimes say the difficulty of the cases, so you can gauge how difficult you want as well. Asmodee, in association with Repos Production, is releasing Seven Wonders Dice. This plays 2 to 7 players in 25 to 30 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This is a dice version of the very popular game Seven Wonders. I feel like Seven Wonders is another one of those games like Splendor that helped to bring a lot of people into the modern board game hobby. And this, you know, instead of cards, it's dice, and then you have your own sort of player board where you are using dice to mark off different types of resources and regions and score points in different ways. You know, all of the Splendor versions have, you know, the science track and the military track, and this version keeps that on the board, but it has this cool contraption where you put all of the dice in a box and then you just shake up the box and then reveal the box, and the box is divided into 4 quadrants, and dice will end up in various different quadrants, and it's like, oh, a dice in this quadrant is free versus a dice in this quadrant is going to cost you 3 money, and so that will help you decide where you're picking things, and then, you know, you'll just get the benefit of the dice face and cross off stuff on your board and then try to get the most points. So if you're a fan of Seven Wonders Duel, just the whole world of Seven Wonders, there's Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle-earth now, there's a lot of games, there's Seven Wonders Architects. Well, we have Seven Wonders Dice for you. So if you're a fan of dice and Seven Wonders, now you got both of them in the same game. CMYK has been releasing a series called the Magenta series, which is taking classic card games, sort of modern classic card games, and putting them in these brightly colored magenta boxes, is making the cards very bright and vibrant, you know, just giving it sort of a fun, kooky, refreshed look to it. So one of the games that they're releasing a couple of games in their magenta line this month. The first one I'll talk about is a game called I'm Out. Plays 3 to 6 players in about 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game. In I'm Out, you have a hand of cards, and you are trying to be the first to get rid of your cards. That is how you can win the game. But you can only basically play high or low. There will be a row of cards that is getting out there, and if that is a 6 and a 10, you cannot play a 7, 8, or 9, but you could play an 11, a 12, you could play a 5, a 4, a 3, anything like that. So you're playing on the edges. But you can also play on the card on the edges. The interesting thing is once multiples of a card get played, so if there are 2 4s and I wanted to play a 3, I could not play a single 3. I would have to play at least 2 3s because the card next to it has 2. But if somebody adds a, 2 4s onto the 2 4s that already existed and I want to play 3s now, I got to play 4 3s. And so that's some of the interesting strategy of the game. It is still a lightweight, quick-playing card game, but, as with all of these magenta, the games in the magenta line, they do look very fun. They're very, eye-catching for sure. It's something you're not gonna overlook sitting on your shelf. Definitely. CMYK is also releasing another game in the magenta line. This is an updated version of the classic card game No Thanks. Plays 3 to 7 players in about 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight card game. In No Thanks, you shuffle up the cards and you flip one over, and then everybody is using tokens to basically say, no thank you, I don't want that card. My choices are either to take that card or to waste one of my tokens and say no thank you. and you're trying to have the least points at the end of the game, and the value of the card is the points that you are going to get. So boom, that's a 25. I don't want 25 points right now. No thank you. I'm putting this down. But at some point, it's going to go around, and either somebody runs out of tokens and they have to take it, or there's so many tokens on it that it's worth it to you at this point. And you say, you know what? I'll take it. And now I get all of the tokens that have been put on the card. The other bit of strategy in the game is if you can get sequential numbers, you only count the lowest value against you. So if in that scenario you had a 25, that's 25 points against you. And if you had 28, man, that's over 50 points against you. But if you had a 25, 26, 27, 28, it's only 25 against you. So you might want to be grabbing specific cards. So, you know, it is just I like No Thanks a lot. It's a fun card game. There's not too many card games where you're just trying to get out of something, you know, instead of gaining something. You're just trying to be like, no, thank you. Nope, I don't want it. No, thank you. Not for me. Oh, gross. So it's a good card game for sure. And now that's an updated version from CMYK. CMYK is also releasing an updated version of their classic party game Monikers. And Monikers itself is a sort of card game version of the classic, just sort of free, what do they call it? The free domain game, the public domain game, Fishbowl or Celebrities, where you could play the game where you're just writing something, putting it into the fishbowl, and then pulling it out. But Monikers has a lot of cards, and you don't have to do the thinking. You know, they did it for you. It plays 2 to 12 players because you play it on teams, so you can really play it with as many people as you want to on a team. Plays in about 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight party game. This new edition has 440 cards, features new art, new card design, updated rules with no more points on the cards. So it's just about getting the cards right. They don't actually have points on the card. Sometimes in the past, you know, it'd be like, oh, this card's a little bit harder than that other card, so this one's worth 3 points. That one was only worth 2 points, and it was kind of annoying. So they got rid of all the points. And there's a huge content refresh. So if you've played through a lot of the stuff in Monikers, if you know a lot of the cards in the game, this is 440 almost all new cards. So you have a whole content refresh here. I will say Monikers is a really, really fun big group party game for sure. So the way the game works is you have a number of cards and you'll play team against team, and on the first round you can say anything you want about this thing on the card except for the words on the card. So, you know, if it's Tom Cruise, I'm going to be like the star of Top Gun and all the Mission Impossible movies. He's one of the biggest Hollywood stars, until somebody says Tom Cruise. Well, in the second round, I can only say one word to give a clue. We go through the same cards again, but now I can only say one word, and I might say impossible, and then, oh, Tom Cruise. And then in the third round, no words at all. It's only a pantomime. It is only a charades version in the third round. So I might go like, you know, and try to do like a jet plane or something like that for Tom Cruise. And it's very silly, and you think you won't be able to do it, you know, after the first round. You're like, how am I going to do these with charades? But then there's always inside jokes, and that's some of the most fun parts of the game. CMYK is also releasing Monikers Family Edition. Plays 2 to 12 plus players in 30 minutes, and it is a lightweight party game, as you might imagine. This is the same game as regular Monikers, but all of the cards are appropriate for families. It's not like there's a crazy dirty stuff in the base game of Monikers, but this makes it maybe more accessible. They're going to pick people that everybody knows, even kids. Going to, you know, try to have content in there that is appropriate for all ages. And this also has a cooperative mode where you are basically trying to do as well as you can as a family unit and score based on, you know, a scale of how well you did. Instead of playing against each other, we can all play together. So that is the family edition of Monikers. Devere Games is releasing the White Castle Duel. This plays 2 players only in 30 to 60 minutes, and it is a medium weight game. This was one of my top games of the month recently. Every month I do a top 5 games of the month, and I think it wasn't the White Castle Duel was my #1 game of last month. I love it. To be fair, I did love the original as well, and people are going to ask, like, is this better than the original or not as good? And I don't know. I think it's equally as good, and right now I am probably liking it better, but I don't know if that's just a recency bias. One of the nice things is it feels a little less punishing than the original game. Like, the original game was so tight and resources were so hard to come by that if you made a mistake, you didn't feel like you could come back from it. You know, you're like, oh, that's one mistake and I only had 9 turns and now my game is over and I got to play the rest of this knowing I'm going to lose. This gives you 12 turns instead of 9, so there's a little bit more breathing room, and I do just feel like it's slightly more forgiving. There's no dice in this version. Instead, you have these little tokens, and you are placing the tokens out on the board, and essentially the token gives you access to 2 actions and cards and other spots next to it. So if I place out here, I get to do the benefits of the things to the left and the right of it. And when I put out a token, I've got 3 different colors, and it just needs to be a different color than the thing out there. The other thing I like about the White Castle Duel is you activate your lantern a lot more. Your lantern was really important in the original, but you know, it was hard to sort of activate it. I feel you are activating it all of the time in this game, and it just feels good, you know, where you're like, ooh, boom, 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 I get those resources. Every time I do that, I get those resources, you know. If it's more rewarding in that way where you get to activate it all of the time. So it definitely feels inspired by the original game, you know. There's a lot of shared DNA, but it also feels like a different game as well. It's not just a sort of 2-player only version of White Castle. Like, you could play this never having played the White Castle and still love this, and I'm gonna keep both of them in my collection because they feel different enough to me that I'm gonna keep both. So yeah, the White Castle, if you're looking for a deeply strategic 2-player game, the White Castle has been one of my favorites of the year so far for that genre. Hasbro Games is releasing Monopoly Deal NFL Edition. This plays 2 to 5 players in 15 to 20 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. You know, gamers, we love to make fun of Monopoly, but Monopoly Deal, I think, is a much more fun version of Monopoly. It is a version of Monopoly that is distilled down to just cards, and it takes 20 minutes to play instead of multiple hours to play. And, you know, there's still some luck involved and based on what cards come out, but you are basically trying to get cards and build sets of properties, and there's a lot of action cards and money cards. You're gonna have a bank, you can charge other people rent, you can steal cards from other people, you know, there's still a lot of player interaction going on. Well, this is the same game as Monopoly Deal, but instead of collecting sets of properties, you are collecting sets of NFL teams. You know, you are trying to get 3 cards for the Seattle Seahawks, and then you've got one set, and you're trying to get 3 different sets. So I do think this is the type of, you know, Monopoly Deal is pretty easy to learn. It's pretty easy to get into. And so this is the type of game that, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be playing all the time, but I'm really happy it exists, right? Because everybody knows Monopoly, and there are plenty of people that are into the NFL that might not necessarily be into board games or card games, and I feel like this is a good way to get them into. They know Monopoly, they know the NFL, boom, you combine those two, and then you go, oh, this game's a lot more fun than I expected it to be. So, you know, I hope it creates some new gamers out there for sure. Luma Imports is releasing Compile Main 2. This is in association with Synapsis Games. plays 2 players only in about 20 to 30 minutes, and it is, on the edge of that lightweight to medium weight game. This is a new version of the game Compile. They're small box games. Boom, it's right here. So, if you're looking for a small box game with sort of deep strategy, this game feels bigger than it is, and I mean that as a compliment. And so, I should mention the original Compile. This is cross-compatible with it. Essentially, the original Compile had 12 protocols in it, sort of factions, and this adds 12 new protocols. And you can play this standalone. You can combine it with the protocols in the first Compile. They are cross-compatible there, which is nice. In the game, each of the players will be drafting these faction cards, and some of the fun of the game is figuring out different combos of factions and different play styles of factions, and then you'll be shuffling your factions into the same deck, and you are playing them out for power into lanes. You are lane battling your opponent, and you can play cards face down, you can play cards face up. There's some intrigue of, ooh, I'm going to put this one face down, you don't know how big it is, and then I'm going to play this card over here with a special ability that allows me to flip that card, and boom, it's a 5, and you didn't realize I had so much power over here. And so, it's just full of those kind of mind games, and it's a really good strategic 2-player game that still plays pretty quickly, and it's nice that it's in such a small box, for sure. Solus Game Studio is releasing Massiverse Starter Deck. The Massiverse Fighting Card Game Starter Pack. This is another 2-player only game, plays in 5 to 15 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is really like a card ripping pack. Massiverse, the fighting card game, is still a fairly small box game, but the idea of this starter pack here is you can rip it open. It's got 2 characters in it, and they are, full playing characters. Radiant Black is one of them, and Premier is the other one, and you can play against each other, and, the idea is this is just a starter pack, a cheap thing. You can sort of see the game mechanics, see the universe, and then go, ooh, do I want more characters? Do I want more content for this? Now I can go buy the main box of the game. And so this is, playable on its own. It's basically 2 characters. And the game is really simple. You are shuffling up your deck. You've got a few cards. You're going to play one of them face down, and you're both going to flip your cards at one time and hit each other. And you're trying to be the first person to knock the other one out of 10 life. And so cards are going to get you attack abilities and defense abilities and health, attack values and that sort of thing. So, and every, character is going to play a little bit differently and have its own different asymmetric deck of cards. So this is, again, just 2 of the possible characters that are in the game, and there's a lot more characters out there. Tabletop Tycoon is releasing Everdell Silverfrost. This plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 120 minutes, and it is a medium weight game, and maybe even a medium plus weight game. This is a new game in the Everdell universe. There are a lot of games in the Everdell universe at this point, and they all share the same DNA of cute critters, worker placement style games, but all of them have a different, mix of mechanisms in them. Silverfrost is maybe the most punishing of the games in the series because you are doing worker placement out with your meeples, gaining resources, using those resources to build cards. Hopefully you're getting cards that combo well together. There's synergies. That's some of the fun of Everdell, just the universe is finding synergies between cards. But in this version, there will be snow that constantly comes out. It comes out to spots on the board. It comes out to characters in front of you. It's going to block worker placement spots. It's going to make things difficult. And if you want to go to that worker placement spot, you need flame. You need fire in order to thaw that snow in order to go there. So there's another resource to manage out there. And do you want to keep, sometimes you need fire to go to other places. It's a precious resource in the game. So, it makes Everdell maybe a little bit harder, right? Because you're not just sort of playing against the other players, now you're playing against the game too. The game is actively trying to screw you over, and you have to manage it as well as the other players out there. So, but if you like worker placement games, if you like highly strategic games, but games that also have very cute critters in it, then you might like Everdell Silverfrost. Lastly this month, Z-Man Games is releasing Stitch the Fix for 626. This plays 2 to 5 players in about 10 minutes, and it is a lightweight game. This is a game set in the Love Letter universe. There are a lot of various versions of Love Letter that have different IPs and different themes and different, slightly tweaked mechanisms to them. So this is a Love Letter game, but obviously set with the IP of Lilo and Stitch. And so, like Love Letter, you are going to be drawing a card, you'll have one card, then you're choosing one of these two to play. And when you play a card, you're going to do the special ability of the card. And you're trying to either be the last person standing in a round, or the person with the highest value card at the end of the round. I love Letter. It's one of my... did I say I love Letter? I love Love Letter. And it's one of my most played games of all time, also because you can just throw it in a pocket and bring it anywhere with you. So this has, obviously Lilo and Stitch artwork. It also has some different special abilities. And then it also has a Stitch token, and that token will move around, and card effects will interact with that token, and sometimes it can be on the good Stitch side, and sometimes it can be on the bad 626 side. And at the end of the round, it acts as a tiebreaker, so anybody that has the good side of Stitch will win a tie. It also adds a couple, if it's on the good side, it adds 2 values, 2 strength to whatever number you played. But if it's on the bad side, it subtracts 2 value from whatever card you play. Your 6 is now a 4. And so, it's managing that token as it gets passed around between players as well. And it's inside of a fun Stitch plushie. So, that's a good reason to check it out as well. Those are 18 games coming to retail here in the month of October. New editions of board games. Thanks so much for being here. As always, please like, subscribe, share, all that sort of stuff. These videos take a lot of work, and I appreciate that people like them and get good use out of them. So I'll be at some conventions in November, so I hope to see you there too. I'll be at the People of Play, Chicago Toy and Game Fair in Chicago at the beginning of November. I'll also be at PAX Unplugged, sort of the weekend before Thanksgiving. So I hope to see you at one of those. All right, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex.